Hey everyone, Travis here from Travis.media. Becoming a programmer in the traditional sense is no longer enough. With the advent of some new and widely adopted technology, developers are now required to know more than just writing good code. But the good news is you don't need to master some of these additional skills. Instead, you just need to be familiar enough to know about them and to be able to use them when asked to. So in this video, I want to give you 7 of these skills that you'll need to add to your pursuit of becoming a successful developer. And if you find this video helpful along the way, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. Let's get started. Number 1 is cloud computing. Now I've said this again and again that this is actually a default requirement for any developer. And here's some statistics. According to Tech Report, 85% of firms are anticipated to adopt a cloud-first strategy by 2025. Spending in the cloud in 2022 made up around 25% of the $919 billion market for commercial IT. And over 60% of all corporate data is stored in cloud storage. Everyone is going there if they're not there already. And you need to be there too. You need to have a knowledge of the cloud so that you can keep up with the pack, even as a developer. You aren't just pushing code and then moving to the next thing. Your code will be linked in some way to the cloud, and you'll be asked to facilitate it in some way. And having knowledge of the cloud will help set you apart and make you a leader in your role. And if not a leader, then a very capable developer, one that doesn't need additional hand-holding in things outside of code. So how do you learn cloud computing? Well, there's really 2 ways. One, you buy a course, you sign up for like AWS, you work through the course, you get your hands dirty, and you become competent. This is okay and will suffice more than the person that's like, I'm not worried about it. I'm not getting in the cloud. But the second way, and the better way, is to get cloud certified. This will help you become more marketable and it'll help you level up your skills. Because remember, cloud knowledge will require you to learn networking and things like that you don't really learn as a developer by default. But getting certified in some way will really help you out. You'll have that knowledge, additional knowledge, and having that badge on your resume is definitely a plus. Now, a basic cert like the AWS Cloud Practitioner is good. It's a good start. But if you could get the AWS Solutions Architect Associate certification, that would be ideal. Very ideal. But the next question is which cloud? AWS, Azure, or Google? And my answer is pick one. AWS is the more popular one, but it has more people certified. And Google, while not as popular, is still big, but not quite as many people certified there. So it's okay going AWS, it's okay going Azure, but you may want to go Google because the fish in the pond are fewer. Now I have a video out there of how I passed the AWS Solutions Architect certification, which materials I used step by step in preparing for that certification. So if you go watch that video, it'll give you all the tools you need to pass. I'll put a link to that below. I also have the Azure equivalent of the materials and steps I took to prepare for the Azure. That link will be below as well. Google, I can't help you out. I'm not certified. I don't know a lot about Google. I use it some, but you're on your own there. Now, the second skill you need to add in your pursuit of being a successful developer is Git, or version control. Now, I find it fascinating how many people are learning to code or are new to coding and don't know how to use Git. If you're working with a team or you're working with a code that's being pushed up to a platform like GitHub and you're not like an isolated freelancer, though I could argue you need to be using Git too, then you have to know Git or some version control of the like, Git being the most popular. Now, if you didn't know, Git is a version control system used for tracking changes in computer files or code in our case. It allows you to create this separate branch off of the main code base, do your work, make your changes, get things running, and then it allows you to merge it back in to the main code base. Not overwrite all of the code and everybody else's changes, but just merge in your differences. It allows other developers to do the same thing at the same time. Everybody's branching off, everybody's merging in, people are reviewing your code to make sure it's legit, and we can keep track of everything that happens. And if something breaks, we can roll it back to the previous version. And this version code is usually pushed up to some online repository like GitHub, or Bitbucket, or GitLab. But the good news is if you don't know Git, it can be learned pretty quickly. If you just go to YouTube and type in learn Git in an hour, there's 2 or 3 really good videos. And you just need to know the basics, like how to clone a repository, create a branch, stage your changes, push your changes, things like that. And then as the months pass by, you can learn more as you go. But sooner the better, get started, learn Git. Now the third skill you need, in addition to programming, is basic database knowledge. In almost every job I've had tasks ranging from using SQL commands, basic SQL commands, and pulling data, to actually writing full-blown SQL scripts. And in some jobs, that may not be your role, but there's gonna be a project that you're put on at some point that's using SQL, and you being the developer, and it maybe being a small team, you're going to be required to make changes to it in some flavor of SQL to get the job done. It's going to happen. And you not only want basic SQL syntax knowledge, but knowledge of databases as well. Things like database versus tables, relational versus NoSQL, and relationships like one-to-many, many-to-many, and of course the SQL syntax, like select, update, join, insert, etc. And you don't have to become a DBA, you don't have to be an expert by any means, but have enough knowledge to be able to jump in and figure it out when the time comes. By learning a little bit here and there as you progress, you can, bite by bite, become an expert in anything if needed over time. And today's sponsor, Brilliant, specializes in just that. Brilliant.org is a great way to learn math, logic, and computer science interactively. Brilliant is fun, practical, and has thousands of lessons from basic to advanced topics from computer science and programming, algorithms, Python, AI, math, and other tools to help you level up your skills or keep those skills sharp. And it's perfect for busy, self-taught people like you and me, making it easy to master big concepts in as little as 15 minutes a day. Maybe you're having a hard time nailing down conditional statements or loops, pointers, or linked lists. Brilliant will help you visualize and internalize these concepts in an engaging, interactive way. Today, I switched things up a little and tackled some pre-algebra puzzles where I had to use logic and math to guess missing numbers. Quite the mental exercise. But like I said, Brilliant can help you digest new concepts and solidify old ones that can apply across many different facets of being a software engineer. And you can get started today for free for 30 days and get 20% off an annual plan by using my link below. That link is brilliant.org/TravisMedia. Now back to the video. Now the fourth skill you need to add to your repertoire is basic knowledge of Linux. This is something I thought I had by the way of having a Mac and a Unix terminal, but I learned quickly that there's more to Linux than just terminal commands. And while you should learn core Linux terminal commands, from cd to cat to grep, things like that, you should also try to get a good understanding of the Linux file system. Like, why are files in the etc folder or the bin folder? What is the mount directory or opt or user or temp? Do you know? Well, you need to know. You also need to get familiar with file permissions and ownership. Every file and directory in the Linux file system has permissions and an owner. So learn how to read permissions and use chmod or chown to change them. Or is it chmod? Finally, know how to read logs and interact with system processes. And the reason I say all this and the reason I emphasize Linux is while we all have Macs and PCs that we use daily, the servers that run websites or applications in the cloud are going to be of some Linux flavor. So as a developer, once that code leaves your machine, you're in Linux land. The fifth skill you need to have is basic knowledge of Docker and containers. I think this skill in the past has fallen to the DevOps team, but in my experience, especially of late, developers are supposed to jump in and containerize apps, or microservices, or why an image isn't building, or why a container's failing. And it's becoming like the cloud knowledge. You're just going to be asked to know it. Now, if you didn't know, Docker allows you to take an application or a code base, build it into an image, and then run it as a container. And that image or blueprint can be passed around to different people. It can be uploaded to a repository where other people can download it. And it's going to run the same for everybody. It's going to work for everybody because it has all the same dependencies, underlying OS, and everything in that container needed. It works for you, and it works for me. So just as an example, I have this Next.js app here. Imagine that this is your company's app. It's huge. Lots of developers are working on it, and it needs to be containerized on build or something like that. Let me show you how it works real quick. So you have all of your code, and within that code, you have a Docker file. Now the Docker file is going to include these directions to build your image. So from node 18, this is your base image. Things are gonna run on this miniature node process. And then you define your work directory, which is /frontend, can be anything. Then you're gonna copy your package.json over to this container, and you're gonna run npm install to install all of the dependencies on the container. Then you'll copy your current code, which is the dot, everything over here, into this front end folder, which is the other dot. So you're just copying in all your files. You're exposing port 3000 and running npm run dev, which is the command to run a Next.js app in development. So what I do is I do this docker build command, and this takes these directives and builds this blueprint or this image. So over here I have the Docker extension installed, and I see under images this Docker Next.js image. Here's my image. Now if I want to build it, it's as simple as right-clicking and choosing run. Or I could do a docker run command. Now up here under individual containers, I see my Next.js container running. So I can right click and choose open in browser. And my Next.js application is running locally in a Docker container. So I can come back and I can just stop the container or remove the container, whatever. I have the blueprint, doesn't matter. I can spin it up, spin it down. Now that was a really basic example, but if you want to learn more about Docker quickly, I have a video out there called Learn Docker in 1 hour that's done really well. It's gotten a lot of good feedback on it. And it'll walk you through what Docker is, what an image is, what a container is, how it works. And then you actually containerize a React application and a WordPress application all in 1 hour. And that's on YouTube. I'll put a link to it below. But if you finish that video, you will be equipped to move forward in these skill sets. So make sure you check that out. The sixth skill you should add in your pursuit to being a successful developer is basic API knowledge. Now you may think this comes as part of being a backend developer, but many devs leave it out. They learn backend and MVC and object-oriented programming and ORMs and databases, but never really the skill of building an API. And while this does, of course, involve the programming that you already know how to do, there are API-specific skills in architectures that you need to know when, not if, but when you're asked to work on an API. And I would recommend learning about REST APIs. You'll need to learn about routes and verbs like get, put, post, responses, and status codes, things like that. You'll also need to know about authentication and tokens and the security aspect of an API. That's really important. So what you can do is whatever language that you're good at, or whatever language that you like, or language that you're targeting, find an API course somewhere in that language and take it. Then build something. Wrestle with it a little bit so that you have some basic API knowledge. Again, you don't have to be an expert, but just know enough to jump in and get the work done. And the last one in number 7 is pipeline familiarity. Now these pipelines usually run tests or some sort of checks that are required to pass before your code merges in. You might think others will take care of this instead of you developers, but 8 times out of 10, you'll be asked to fix it. There's no mercy here. Hey Travis, that code you pushed is failing on the pipeline. Think you can take a look and fix it? And you gotta fix it, or at least troubleshoot it. So the best way to get started here is with GitHub Actions. Imagine when you push your code up to GitHub, it kicks off some sort of automation. Maybe it runs a linter that checks your code formatting, or maybe it runs some sort of testing. Then when your code is merged, it may kick off another pipeline to deploy it to a development server or a staging server. In GitHub Actions, everybody has a GitHub repo. GitHub Actions is free, and it's a great place to learn about pipelines. And they're just YAML files. The configuration of pipelines are just YAML files, and they look something like this. Here's a GitHub quick start, like a GitHub Actions quick start. Let's just look at this. GitHub Actions demo is the name. Run name is GitHub actor, which is probably the person running it, is testing out GitHub Actions. And then on push, so when code is pushed, these jobs need to run. And they run on Ubuntu. So this is going to be like a container, like an OS container that's running this code. It's going to spin up, run this action, and then go away. And then there's a number of steps. So it's echoing some information here with some variables. Then it checks out your repository code with action/checkout at version 4. So it checks out your code. It says the GitHub repository variable repository has been cloned to the runner, and it just runs an ls listing files in the repository. Very simple, but you get the point. On push, there's some jobs. Here's what it does. And that's your configuration file, and that's how your pipeline is going to run. So check this out. Go to GitHub Actions, check out some examples, and become familiar with pipelines. Now, if you learn the basics of these 7 skills, you will be a more marketable and well-rounded developer. And in my opinion, many of these are borderline required. So get familiar with them. I've given you the blueprint here, and I wish you the best in that pursuit. What other skills do you think programmers now need to know? Let me know down in the comments. And if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one.